I was lucky enough to be sent an early screener of the film Good Boy by Strike Media, which I am so grateful for because this was one of my most anticipated films of the year. I had previously seen the trailer and heard a bit about it because it's done in a really unique way where we actually follow a dog called Indy. We don't so much see things through Indy's eyes, but we are kind of following besides Indy. We do get to see things how he would see them, and the whole film is about a haunted house, but we are just following this dog. This is an experimental horror film. We have got quite a few of them recently, which I really love because I love seeing things that we've never seen before and seeing originality and creativity in so many different ways. We of course had Skinamarink from I think a few years ago. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. I do appreciate it in some ways though. Then we had In a Violent Nature, which was where we followed around the killer but kind of just behind him, and even when he was like walking it was very atmospheric. I really loved that film. And then at the beginning of this year we got the film Presence, which I really liked, and I assumed that this one would be the most similar to that, where it was a haunted house done in a different way. In Presence we are literally the presence. We're seeing things through the supernatural spirit's eyes and watching the family that way. This one also being a different take on a haunted house. I kind of thought it would be similar, and it is in some ways, especially how heavy it is on the atmosphere. But before I get too much into my review, let me do a quick plot overview. A dog called Indy and his owner move into a new home where some supernatural, scary occurrences start happening. Indy tries his best to keep his owner safe whilst being terrified himself at the same time. The opening scene really sets the feel of the whole film. It is a really kind of mysterious but dark and sinister setup where we see a situation play out in front of Indy's eyes. We can already tell that Indy is scared just from her expressions and the way that she is acting. This all goes down in a dimly lit room, heavy on these shadows and dramatic shots. This just makes us as a viewer feel anxious from the get-go, and that feeling never really goes away. This film is great at keeping the same creepy, tense tone throughout. Something that plays a massive part in this is definitely the weather, and the weather being used as a technical element to really build up the tension. We see lots of rain, lots of storms. This is really scary for Indy. We of course know that loud noises like storms and even heavy rain can be really scary for dogs. Not only that, but this weather just kind of makes them feel much more isolated in this new home. They kind of feel trapped in with this sinister presence. In scenes like this, you can really tell Indy's emotions. You can see how scared and confused he is by this weather because obviously he's a dog and doesn't really understand why there is so much like aggressive rain. Their new remote home feels very isolated anyway. It's always very dark. We get some dim and flickering lights. It's very heavy on shadows and dark corners. This being a new unknown house, there are so many unexplored areas, so many places that Indy hasn't seen, and when he hears noises from them and it's so dark, we just never really know what's going to happen next and if there is anything lurking in the shadows. Their new home just doesn't really feel like a safe, loving home. It doesn't feel like home at all. The whole film is just done so well for us to be able to piece things together and get a whole understanding of this story when we aren't straight up seeing it all play out in front of us. We have to piece things together from Indy's perspective. It's a very simple, stripped back plot, but done in such a unique, different way. They take something that could just be basic into a really unique, interesting masterpiece. Another major element that really adds to the creepiness, we get some really dramatic sound effects. There is a light, stringy score. It's never too loud. It's kind of just something in the background, but we do hear hear some harsh, twangy strings. The score is very atmospheric and comes in at some really tense moments, which does also remind me of the score in the film Presence. Both very different scores, but both giving me a similar feeling. We have some really beautiful shots. They are so creepy, and we definitely linger in some really scary, tense areas. So the main part of this film, the dog Indy. The way that this dog made me feel so many emotions. I felt so creeped out, anxious, so on edge just from seeing what Indy is going through. To show facial expressions, I honestly do not know how they got him to act this well. It honestly just blew my mind and really exceeded my expectations. Indy is a really easily spooked dog. He just wants to protect his owner. He is so loyal and loving and just one of the cutest dogs that I have ever seen. In my notes, I wrote down, it's been 10 minutes, however I cried 4 times. Although the story was quite straightforward, I really didn't know where it was going to go, and the ending did surprise me. Any film that can make me feel so many emotions is obviously a very well made film. Of course, even if I love a film, it can still have criticisms. I would say my biggest criticism is probably once or twice I felt like they showed too much. I know some people don't like it when films don't show anything, but I'm the kind of person who sometimes prefers things left up to the imagination. Maybe another thing could be that it is quite repetitive, but I think that is just the nature of this film. I personally can't wait to watch this film again. I'm really excited for its official release to see what everybody thinks of it. It's definitely a film that I highly recommend, and if you get the chance to see this at the cinema, then I think it will be an experience that you won't forget. Good Boy hits UK cinemas from the 10th of October, so perfect timing for spooky season. Let me know if you're planning on seeing this film, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another one very soon.